as my stomach.
If anybody knows.
Charnel Investment Consultant brings you this Garage Logic episode. Call Josh at 952-925-5608 for a free 48-minute consultation.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Haidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie.
Yes.
Here's your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
Good afternoon. I am not Joe Souchere. I am Pat the Grocer Garofalo.
You like your caption on the YouTube channel?
I do. I've never been called Pat the Grocer Garofalo, but I do like it.
There's a good flow to it.
It does.
Do you like the fact that when you are now referenced, because you're in the club, so now when you're referenced on the show, Joe says something, I don't know, he's probably counting bleeping corn or something right now.
It's the shots are well deserved, and I appreciate it. I have to tell you though,
the insult is the ultimate compliment.
Exactly.
There are two huge news stories we have to talk about today,
right.
And the second one, I'll leave until later. But the second one. I'm disappointed Joe's not here to talk about it. But my understanding is that he is on a secure fact-finding trip
Absolutely,
today.
yes.
A GL sabbatical to study important issues, and I guess he'll brief everyone on that when he comes back and tells everyone what that is. But how are you guys doing?
Good.
They're good.
Well,
Doing good.
Rook and I phrase this week, and I don't think the bosses are listening because let's be honest, no one's here anyway.
No, we don't have to be proprietary at all.
This is when you back up to the pay window, is working on the week of the 4th of July.
Okay.
Because we ain't burning any time off. Like, come on. We get to come in and
park in
hang
the front lot.
Yeah.
Pretty empty, huh? Do you get a good spot?
Well, I don't know. We don't really disclose where we record this secure. we're in the secure underground military.
bowels.
We were in the bunker.
Let's just put it this way, ladies and
They'll
gentlemen.
need one of those bombs that goes down 300 feet in order to even
They're going to
stop this
need
podcast.
the U.S. military would need a new weapon to reach this.
The Hubbard Broadcasting front entrance lot off University is so empty, and they're still working on the roof. Like, half of it's consumed by construction equipment, and there's still room for parking.
Yes.
So this is all great, but we have to talk about the big news story that's affecting our area. And that is that yesterday it was announced that the home of the Minnesota Wild, the Xcel Energy Center, is no longer going to be called the Xcel Energy Center. They have a new title sponsor.
I'm so glad you're bringing this up.
It is the Grand Casino Arena. And I will tell you, I'm not in marketing, but I think this is a huge mistake. And let me tell you why.
Why?
When you put all that money into naming rights, you want people to refer to the facility by the same name the market brand is. So, for example, if you're going to a Twins game, you go to Target Field. Everyone calls it Target Field.
Yes.
You go to see the Wolves play. You're going to Target Center. Yeah. Everyone calls it that, right? You talk about the Vikings, U.S. Bank, or the bank. It's the same. In this case, when Xcel Energy sponsored it, no one called it Xcel Energy. It was always
the X.
It was the X.
Yep.
It was the X. And that's the same situation now. This new arena, the Grand Casino Arena, no one's going to call it that. Instead, they're going to call it the G Spot.
Oh, I saw your tweet. That's really good. Well, I thought
it's not an original idea. Like everyone's saying, like this is like it's
we're gonna go to the G Spot.
You're gonna go, and the jokes are already flowing. People are saying, guys are gonna have a tough time finding it.
When I saw that, here's what I love about it, and I know you were on the forefront of trying to get legalized gambling here in the great state of Minnesota. You were very outspoken about that. You came on this show and talked about it a couple of times. I find it laughable that we can't muddy ourselves and go down in the muck with the rest. Yet we're going to have a casino have the naming rights for again, and I'm all for it. I mean, that's fine if they got the money and they want to do it. Absolutely, they should. Grand Casino has every right to do that, but I just love the hypocrisy that's shown.
Yeah, sports gambling is horrible and toxic, but if gambling money is used for naming rights, it's fine. And again, I just think if I was in the marketing division at Grand Casino, and I'm not. I would be like, okay, we can't have our branding associated with the G spot. We got to do something to fight our way out of it. They're going to need something better because I will tell you that it took off yesterday. Everyone's calling it. It might be too late. Maybe they can turn it around.
Right.
But
here's my question. So because I know that the Wild are in negotiations with expanding the existing facility and trying to get more hotels, whatever. They're trying to basically, because that dump's 25 years old now, which is hard to believe. But is this going to be part of it? I mean, are we going to have a downtown casino in St. Paul?
Okay, Treasure Island owns or has the naming rights to the practice facility. Grand Casino has the X, and then the Mdewakanton Sioux have the Intercontinental.
Do they? Like, what do you mean?
I don't know.
I believe they're. I think that's their.
Yeah.
So that's three different tribes.
When you say that you're not sure if it's true or not, what's the motto? Like, we don't know that.
We don't know that. You're going to get one of these right here.
We don't know that.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know about that, but I will say that, like, already people are jumping like, oh, does this mean there's going to be a casino in downtown St. Paul? And I would find that extremely unlikely. But what I do think...
I wouldn't mind if the Native Americans revitalized downtown St. Paul, though.
Jeez. Gosh, it's...
Just to have some financial backing and maybe...
How about just anything? How about like something going on in St. Paul?
I told this to Rookie yesterday. I went to the Eagles concert on a Saturday night. When was that? A year ago? Whenever that was. It was a Saturday night in St. Paul. The weather was perfect. And we got done. The concert got over with at 10:30. There was one place open on West 7th on a Saturday night in St. Paul, and it was the truck park. And I ran into a young lady who was at the truck park who was in desperate need of nourishment, and she needed some. Anyway, but my point is, it was sad. And the only reason I stopped is because I didn't want to sit in the parking ramp for an hour. But I thought, it's Saturday night in St. Paul and nothing's open.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm worried about. And just, again, this is personal opinion. I'm not speaking on behalf of anyone else or anything. But if you look at the nationwide trend towards new arenas, it used to be that, like, these were built in downtown areas, right? You leverage existing infrastructure, blah, blah, blah. The new trend is like what the Patriots did.
Yep.
And that is you go find some space, you build something, and then you get the economic development, you capture the revenue
around it,
the ancillary, secondary, and tertiary benefits. And I worry that, and you're seeing this happen in Minneapolis, by the way, with the Timberwolves. The new owners came out and said, hey, we're not moving anywhere, but we need a new arena. It's like, great. Okay,
well,
here we
in
go.
fact, that's what the Vikings tried to do. They didn't want to build it downtown on these existing sites. They wanted to go to Arden Hills to build their facility.
Well, and I think that was one of the plans, but ultimately they wanted out of the Metrodome. Right. And so now, both in Minneapolis with the Timberwolves and Target Center and with the Wild and Xcel Energy, it's going to be, we'll see what happens. But all kidding aside, as someone who was born in St. Paul, St. Paul's in trouble.
Right.
Okay. And there's a lot of reasons for it. And I don't want to throw rocks at people, but there needs to be better leadership. And candidly, the residents of that city have some responsibility for this. They have a responsibility to choose better leadership as well, and I'll just leave it at that. It's really important, though, that people recognize that St. Paul's going the wrong way. There needs to be some...
And in a hurry.
Yeah, and I think
we got good bike lanes.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is that, St. Paul has always been more of a government-centric place, and so you can understand how that would impact things. But boy, oh boy, just the lack of activity during the day and at night, they need to find a way to keep the Wild in St. Paul. And hopefully that's what ends up happening. But if anything, again, I look forward to telling my wife that I'm going to be home late because I'm hanging out at the G spot. Just to see what,
what kind of reaction you get.
We'll see how. Right? Yeah, maybe her reaction will be taking half my shit. Maybe that won't be such a funny joke. Sure. But no. So that was the first thing.
Well, and you mentioned the downtowns. I mean, Minneapolis isn't. I mean, not booming by any perspective. But the thing that Royce mentioned yesterday Monday Night Sports Talk, and I didn't realize this. The building next to where the Star Tribune is was at the is it Ameriprise. I forget who owns it. But they sold it for $8 million.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Well, and it's the property tax base is a huge issue. I will say, like, the North Loop is doing really good.
Yes, I will agree with you there. Yes,
that area, and it's just that downtown's going to be different. And I wish post-COVID people would have saw And I wish people would have had the vision that I did to see what was going to happen. But no, they immediately, when it was clear that these office spaces were no longer going to be used like they were COVID was a game changer, right, guys?
Sure.
It was totally that they should have just taken as much money as they could and just thrown it at downtown housing. And I know that it doesn't cost out. I know it's expensive to take these buildings and convert them into residential space, but you have all this infrastructure tied up around having a bunch of people be there. If they're not going to be working there, they need to live there. There's no alternative.
You need bodies.
Yep. Yes, developers would have got rich off it. Who cares? Just throw as much as you can to get those spaces converted over to housing as quickly as possible. Condominiums, apartments, doesn't matter whether they're affordable or not. Just get people living down there. And I do think, in fairness, like Minneapolis has done some really good stuff on zoning to make it easier to build stuff. And that's something that I would have liked to have seen more of in Minneapolis, and definitely, well, in St. Paul, they couldn't do anything because they passed rent control, and that was if you were to say, hey, Pat, let's try to figure out a way to destroy a community with one law, what would you do? I'd say, well, pass rent control, so there's no investment into housing, there's no money going into maintenance.
And it stopped immediately.
Oh, yeah, there's some people who voted for it deliberately. I got a friend of mine who's like, I think there's too many apartment buildings in St. Paul. That's why I'm voting for it.
Nope. Wow.
Like when the take action, take credit from, I call Take Action Minnesota, Take Credit Minnesota. When they were going door to door, he told them like, oh yeah, I'm totally with you. I'm voting for this thing because it's going to stop apartment buildings from being built here. And they're like, well, we don't think that. He's like, oh, no, that's what and it did. It was an impressive way to have like concentrated, not in my backyard public policy.
That's crazy.
So I know they're making changes to it, but boy, oh boy, that I just hope things turn around as someone who was born in St. Paul. But,
well, and I guess because of that, you look at how the tentacles of how this operates. I mean, they need a functioning downtown on both sides of the river, right? You have to have that. It's the lifeblood of the entire state of Minnesota. Yeah. And that's why I'm always wondering and always curious why we're one of the very few markets that has both NBA and NHL, and yet both of these franchises have separate facilities. I mean, Los Angeles, the Lakers share the same venue as the Kings. My point being, if both of them are in such need of each having an upgrade in their facility, why don't they work together and have a dual purpose facility that can operate at the same time?
Well, I think in Minnesota there is this regional balance perspective, so that's an important variable. Remember, Norm Coleman was primarily responsible for getting the Civic Center rebuilt, and so in the past there was some level of public funding. And as difficult as it was, the idea that Minneapolis should have everything would just be unacceptable to the East Metro. But again, the financing and the modeling around these professional franchise facilities is changing, where you see more of that. They have a site and they capture the development around it and the economic activity. So we'll see how it plays out. But I hope that the Wild stay in Minnesota, that they stay in St. Paul. I think the best thing to do is to remodel the X or the G spot, whatever. It hasn't flipped over yet.
You are not going to let this go. I love that.
It's not me. I didn't do it. I didn't come up with it. So it's
you just come on the show and right, exactly.
No, I didn't invent it. So but I mean, that's what I hope happens. But as important as that is, there's more important news for you guys and for the listening audience, and that is that we always we have to pay for things with TV ads or with advertising.
Sure.
And so before I go into my next story, perhaps you want to give us a next segue into where we need to.
I do, and I'm going to talk about our friends at North American Banking Company talking about financing. You see what I did there, Pat? That is called a damn segue. That's why I'm a broadcast professional.
Smooth.
And because Joe's not here, I'm going to read this damn thing as fast as possible. And that's because North American Banking Company has been at it since 1998 when they made a promise to deliver a better banking experience for their customers, where you know you're a banker and they know you. And while a lot has changed since then, this commitment to being a true community bank in the Twin Cities, that has not. And I like going to any one of the 6 Twin Cities locations, whether it's Roseville, 50th and France, Hastings, Woodbury, Shoreview, and Maple Grove. Pat, you'll love this. I made this comment on the show last week. Because traffic is so bad, I looked at my map. it was going to take me just as long to get to the Hastings locations from this building as it was going to take me to get to 50th in France. That's not a joke. It was like 4 extra minutes. And I only went to Hastings because I had to go down to Faribault anyway to go visit with my brother. I thought, screw it. I'm not going to sit in traffic. I'm just going to go to Hastings. What a beautiful location, by the way, too. So that's your infrastructure in a nutshell right now with construction. Anyway, North American Banking Company offers all of the services as the other big national banks, whether you're looking to buy a home, maybe finance a new home renovation project, or get that new car that you've been thinking about. They will be able to help you out. So your first step is to check them out online today. It's nabankco.com to learn more. It's banking done differently. North American Banking Company, member FDIC, is an equal housing lender.
As you travel up and down the service road of life this week and celebrate our nation's birthday, it's important to keep one thing at the ready. Bugs Be Gone from our friends at Seaphone. Now, we receive a steady stream of testimonials from GLers talking about the effectiveness of Bugs Be Gone and how easy it makes cleaning bugs, road grime, and other organic substances from windows, bumpers, grills, fairings, boats, and what have you. Motorcycle riders, be sure to keep a spray bottle in the saddlebags. One GLer, he sprays his vehicle down and then pulls them out in the rain to let Mama Nature do the elbow work. So many uses, so many ways to use it. You can spray it on the surface you need clean, let it sit for a minute or two, and then wash like normal, and the bugs disappear with ease. Keep yourself well stocked, one in the vehicle, an extra one in the garage, and buy a couple spray bottles for loved ones and friends. Isn't that what we do as GLers? Help each other out? Have a wonderful 4th of July holiday from all of us at Garage Logic and our friends at Seafoam.
Forgot Deputy Mayor. Bear with me.
I got you.
Joe Souchere reminding you to please give all privileges of the office of the mayor to today's deputy mayor in Garage Logic.
I feel honored to have that privilege bestowed on me. So we were talking before about 2 big news items in the area. The first is mentioning the renaming of the Excel Energy, but then
is there going to be a legitimate nickname?
I was telling you,
going to the casino.
No, I mean people are not going to. Yeah, it's going to be called the X for a while. It'll change eventually, but I do think that.
You don't know if G-Spot's going to take off?
I think it's going to. I do. I don't.
It will at the bars for sure.
It's, or going to the G or whatever. So the other thing that I think it's not really news, but I know you guys would be interested in, and I'm so disappointed that I don't get to share this with Joe personally, is I bought a new car.
Oh, boy.
I bought a new Tesla. Yeah. So I had, he always likes to mock me for my support of the child labor standards of the Congo in my electric vehicle. But I got a different one a couple months ago. The old one I had for about 200,000 miles on.
You trade her in or sell it off?
I just traded it in and I got a new one. And, it's same awesome electric car, but this one has got full self-driving. This is where the computer drives you.
Yes.
You guys, I am telling you, this is a total game changer.
Really?
Oh, it is.
Do you have it permanently, or is it you got a trial basis and then you can?
Well, you can either sign up for a subscription and buy it monthly, or you can just pay it on the front end. And I bought it on the front end.
Okay.
And it's full self-driving, and what it does is it's got cameras in the car that are monitoring you to make sure you're paying attention. So if you get on your phone, if you look somewhere else, it'll start chirping at you, and then eventually it'll turn it off.
They're watching back at the at Tesla base. They got people.
They got the
monitoring you, and
yeah.
Okay, good.
So, but this is what's called supervised full self-driving. So I get in a car. Literally, if I just keep my eyes open and stare forward, this thing drives. And guys, I will tell you, the state of Minnesota is better off with the Tesla driving Pat Garofalo than Pat Garofalo driving the Tesla. It's a better driver. It works in rain. It is just totally awesome. And if you check the news, so I have, again, supervised full self-driving.
Okay.
If you check the news, you'll see that this week, Tesla did their first fully autonomous delivery. So they built a car.
In Austin?
Yeah. Did you see that?
Okay. Yes, I did see that.
Yeah, so the car just drove itself to the person's house. There's your new car. And that's what's coming out this month is unsupervised full self-driving. Now, this is going to be based on geography. I don't know yet what they're going to allow in Minnesota, or even if I know they're starting it out in Texas. But the day, it's amazing for me, like when I commute to work now, I use autopilot every day, or full self-driving, and it's so much of a different experience. Like it's more relaxing. Like I'll sit and think about, okay, when I get to my desk at work, what are the first 5 things I'm going to work on? You don't have these micro decisions you're making when you're driving.
I can't release that power. I want that control.
People say, I'm just telling you, it's better, guys.
I'm going to try it better. Because just yesterday, my son's girlfriend Meadow took possession of her first Tesla. Oh. And they're very excited. Gabe,
what are these kids doing for work?
They're working. They're working.
My God.
They're making it work. But and they are, both of them are completely thrilled. Gabriel, my 20-year-old.
Does it have FSD?
It does for a trial, and then if they want to purchase it, they can.
They're like Tesla's doing this really smart. They are literally like drug addicts. They're like, hey, you want to try some of this out? See how you like it? Oh, it's on us. Try it out. See how you like it.
Back for more.
Yes.
Because if I would have tried that without buying it, I would have bought it by the time it expired. You guys, it is a complete game changer. And first of all, it's safer, right? They've got data on this that shows that people in using FSD, full self-driving, that they're less likely to be in an accident. On top of that, even though it's in a supervised mode right now, it is so much more of a relaxing experience. It is in, like, sitting in stop and go traffic is just not that big of a deal anymore because you don't have to pay attention. Now, I'm sure the lawyers would say, no, you're still responsible.
Right.
You got to do it right. But it is, especially like when they release unsupervised, I would feel comfortable if I was on an interstate, like just going to sleep with this car driving. Now, city streets, county roads and stuff like that, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable in that situation, but
Too many factors.
Well, it's just, I don't know, just because I haven't done it enough. Yeah. But like, I will tell you, using FSD driving home, I take Pilot Knob southbound, and sometimes the traffic backs up. And like, I have fallen asleep driving home, and the car just, you kind of like doze off for about a minute, and then all of a sudden it chirps at you and it wakes you back up.
And now, because that's, I guess, we were talking about traffic during the break. And I have a lengthy commute. I'm not going to deny that. But one of the things I find that's really making things so much worse is the fact that people aren't paying attention. People are on their phones. Because everyone thinks,
changing lanes,
well, I'm driving slower
down,
so I can look at these emails via my cell phone or whatever. And I'm just wondering, is that just going to make things infinitely worse?
No, it's going to make things way better. Because realize we're dealing with like the Model T of self-driving right now and computerized driving. Once they start communicating with each other and they start communicating with the infrastructure, you can think about the capacity increases you could have on a corridor. So imagine this. Right now, something happens on an interstate and the traffic all bottlenecks up, right? The traffic clears. Think about how long it takes for that mile-long length of cars to get moving again.
Yeah. Sure.
Because everyone's got the delay, right? Well, with infrastructure and autonomous computers communicating with each other, the moment that accident clears, every single vehicle in that 1 mile stretch will accelerate at the exact same time frame, and traffic will get moving again. Now, again, it's a huge paradigm shift because you start getting into questioning, if you can just have a car that takes you wherever you want to go whenever you want, why own a car? Why not just have like a robo-taxi where you summon a vehicle? And that's coming. But like by the end of this year, I'm going to be able to go to the G-spot. I'm going to be able to go there with my car, get out and tell my car, go find a free parking spot. And the car will go by itself, go park somewhere. And when I leave the G-spot, sorry, the joke's not
when
all
you're done.
When I'm done at the G-spot, I'll summon the car and the car will come to me. I won't have to pay for parking. I won't have to freeze my whatever's off. I'll get dropped off at the door and picked up at the door. Now, you think that's a game changer maybe?
Okay, but then there's things like security, theft. Do we have to start, how do all those things come into play?
What do you mean theft? Like
so your car is riding anonymously, right? There's no one in it. I mean, how do those things work? Are you using a key fob to enter the vehicle?
Yeah. I don't even have keys to a car. It's integrated into my cell phone with Bluetooth. So when I walk up to my vehicle, it automatically. I don't have a key. As a backup, I have a card that I carry that I can put next to the door frame, and that'll unlock it. If I were to lose my phone or the power went out on my cell phone, but I don't even.
Okay, now let's really get in here. So you're downtown St. Paul. You get held up at gunpoint. Give me your phone. Give me your card. Now you're really screwed.
Okay, well, in that situation, I would probably have to find another phone and call Tesla support or something. But no, but I think it's really, above all, and I know there's a lot of this noise about Elon Musk and all these other things, but it is Tesla is a technology company, and they have produced a fascinating vehicle. And this is I will never buy a car that doesn't drive itself going forward. I'll never do that.
But you still maintain the ability to drive upon.
Sure.
Okay.
But you can tell what they're doing is they're phasing that out. So my car has a steering wheel, but there isn't a dashboard cluster. There's just a monitor in the middle. And then the robo-taxi that's coming out doesn't even have a steering wheel. It's
to answer your if your car is in robbery mode, the car will come back and just run down the robbers, and then you get back your car, your card, your phone.
It'd be great to have vigilante mode. That would be.
Forget ludicrous.
You know what? I'll text Elon after the show.
Here's what I love too. I'm thinking of back to the 50s, 60 years from now, when everyone's a self-driving car. When we're out at State Fair, because we'll still be doing the show for 60 years from now, right? But that's what I'm thinking. This is the one I got in 2024 or whatever.
No, but it's you talk about disruptive technology. Think about the enormous amount of space we waste in cities for parking, whether it's parking ramps, parking lots. You eliminate that variable. Now, there's going to be some people who own parking ramps, and the revenue streams are going to get disrupted. But think about how you can fundamentally change how cities are designed. The space that's being wasted, making them more walkable, more usable, and bringing the freedom of automobile flexibility and movement to people. So the elderly now, they got a car they can always use.
True, right? Yeah, that's true. But then the comeback would be for the the euphorians that are worried about Mother Earth. Well, then this car is just driving around and driving around. It's not stationary and not idling. You know what I'm saying?
Well, what's interesting is if you think so, and this is kind of again future casting here, but think about the vehicle you own. What percentage of the time are you guys actually using your car? Actually using it? Maybe
just commute.
Maybe 5% of the year, right? There's 8,760 hours in a year. Maybe you're driving it 400 to 500 hours a year.
I'm just thinking on a given day, I'm probably in that thing between 2 and 3 hours a day.
Okay, but you factor weekends.
I'm not.
holidays.
I'm 494 to the airport. I'm right off of 494, so it's 10 minutes. My longest commute is here to the airport. I got to take River Road, and otherwise, you're right. I'm not in my car much.
It's a massively inefficient object to own because the vast majority of the time, you're not using it.
Right.
So now think about if you take the technology of Uber and you merge it with autonomous vehicles where instead of owning a car and having the insurance and the fuel, you need a car, you just summon and a vehicle picks you up and takes you where you need to go. And you can do that. You have the same freedom you have under your current vehicle. Maybe you need a different vehicle because you're carrying some stuff. Well, you summon a different vehicle that gets sent to you. On top of that, now you don't need the 3-car garage. So you can make homes bigger, garages smaller because you're still going to have lawnmowers and stuff. But how it makes home ownership more affordable. And now it changes land use planning. Smaller, more home, less wasted space.
Sure.
And again, this is not just some sort of idealistic mindset. This is happening. This is what
it's already in place.
Yeah, there's no bigger driver of societal change than technological progress. And one thing that I look forward to is hearing from one of our fine advertisers of this program today who can and that's an example of a bad transition.
Right.
That's stretching it out a little bit. Yeah.
We'll be right back on Garage Logic.
Yeah.
Reavers here once again for my guy, Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Well, sometimes the anxiety from wondering if you've saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? Well, Mr. Money Talk is going to be able to sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk, never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute, no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608 and set up your free 48-minute, no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorser.
I wish I had the Barry White voice right now.
No, see, what happens is when you get the crud and you get the Barry White voice, all we do is hear the Barry White voice for days upon days.
I wish I had it. I have squeaky Bobby Brady right now, so I can't really do much with it. However, I can tell you with the squeaky Bobby Brady voice where to get your fireworks. It's just around the corner, July 1st right now, and it's time to check out Fireworks Forever. Online at fireworksforever.com, you can see pricing right there. You can see the selection. You can see the fact that they have over 400 products in their stores. And why are there over 400 products in stores? Well, because they're hand-picked and they import all of their fireworks. There's no middleman. This means low prices for you, more booms for less bucks. A very neat store located in Somerset and St. Croix Falls. Veteran founded in 1981, second generation now, passed on with Jason and Ann working the store. Again, you need to be educated, and they're not just going to sell it to you and send you on your way. As you heard in the email that we had before, they have pyrotechnics right there on hand to help answer questions, to show you, provide education. How about this, though? I forgot about this. The QR code. Each product has a QR code linking a short video so you can see and hear what to expect from that particular firework. That's pretty cool because when you want to impress the neighbors, your girlfriend, the grandkids, whatever the case may be, you want to look like you know what you're doing. And Fireworks Forever can help you do that. So remember the grandpa that wanted to show the fireworks off during the day for the grandkids. They've got all that stuff. The knowledgeable staff will help you. You need to get there right now and let them know that the rookie sent you. It's fireworksforever.com, located in Somerset and just off Highway 8 in St. Croix Falls. Tell that friendly and knowledgeable staff that the Rook sent you, and you heard it on the Garage Logic podcast, fireworksforever.com. Don't wait.
That's awesome. Gosh, I love fireworks.
Fireworks, how do you not like fireworks? Dogs don't. You got to put them inside, but they just, and over the lake, if you're lucky enough to have access to a lake and you got competing lake homeowners that are like, mine's better.
We were out in Seattle 3 years ago for 4th of July, and Rook always makes fun of me. That's fine.
Yep.
I drove out, wife and the kids flew, picked them up at the airport. We rented a place in, I think, the Tacoma area. Beautiful.
Voluntarily you did this?
I loved a road trip.
You went to Tacoma voluntarily.
Well, I let her book the house, and we wanted to do stuff in the Seattle area because we had never been. And the house was beautiful. It was great. But I didn't know much about the Tacoma area, which is exactly where I'm going.
Okay.
So this would have been, we arrived, I think, on the 2nd, because I remember it was a Friday. We did the show, Friday the 1st in 2022. I drove, spent the first night. I got all the way to Montana, then made the rest of the drive the next day. So I said, okay, we rented a house. Let's go get some groceries. So we pull up to the Safeway or whatever it was. I don't remember what chain it was. We pull up to get some groceries, and they had a guy that was selling the big tent of fireworks. And I remember going,
"This is you, Garofalo. This is you."
I remember looking, going,
"This guy in the tent."
Okay, this parking lot has 1, 2, 3 shot spotters in it. Okay, that's warning number 1 for me. And then, of course, at that point, so that would have been my 10 and 7-year-old boys. Like, Dad, they're selling fireworks. I'm like, all right, let's go over there and get some fireworks. And this guy's like, yeah, this S is going to blow. And I go, okay.
Looking for sparklers and some.
And I bought maybe $150 worth of stuff. And then it turns out all of it you can't light in the area that we were staying. And I went, well, son of a...
That's just like, yeah.
But Tacoma was a bit of an eye-opener.
I would imagine.
Let's just put it that way. But we had a lovely time. I'll just put it that way.
I love fireworks. And I absolutely love fireworks. And to your point, it was Fireworks Forever, right? That's what they're called?
Yes.
Fireworksforever.com.
Yeah, we should. I don't need much of an excuse to go over to Wisconsin and buy the good stuff. But
so when you take your self-driving car to Wisconsin, is there enough room in all the cargo area?
There's plenty.
We got a big battery in that trunk. We got any cargo room?
Remember, you got in a Tesla, you got a frunk. There's no engine in the front.
Oh,
so
that's
you just open
true.
up, there's extra trunk space. But enough with the Tesla commercial. People are going to start thinking I'm getting paid for this. There are a few things I enjoy, and I think I speak for everybody here, that it's just fun to set off fireworks. And it blows me away that in the year 2025, I still have to go to Wisconsin to have fun.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me.
So could you go to, the Wild are done, but could you go to a concert at the G Spot, tell the self-driving car, drive to Fireworks Forever, load up, and then come back and pick me up at 9:30?
I don't think you can do that. But, the thing is, you could send it there and call Fireworks Forever and say, hey, this is going to be my vehicle. I'm going to unlock it
Here's
for
my
you.
Visa.
Here's my credit card. I bet you here's the thing. If you look up fireworksforever.com or you call the folks at Fireworks Forever, I bet you they'd find a way to make it happen.
Oh, for sure.
That would be pretty interesting.
They're problem solvers.
Yeah. But
who in the legislature who was carrying the baton for pro fireworks?
You're looking at them.
Oh, well, so you got to remember, we did pass a bill to legalize fireworks that Governor Dayton vetoed. That was back in, I think it was 2012.
Why? What was the reasoning?
I think
at that point we had the fizzlers or the sparklers, the stuff that emits sparks, and that's it.
Which, by the way, if you're worried about safety, those are the dangerous things, because what do people do with sparklers? What do they do? They give them to kids.
Yeah,
hey, here you go. It's not the, and again, whatever product you have, you're going to have someone who doesn't, they launch an artillery shell from their moving car or whatever. They're going to be idiots. But,
but I got a sweet TikTok video out of it.
Yeah. And so
the Roman candle.
But I know people have been trying, but I think generally the firefighters tend to oppose it because they say there are going to be more accidents and stuff. But I would just challenge anyone, if you're in the South Metro, this weekend, if you get up on your roof, you will see a sweet fireworks show just watching your neighbors. It is like when I used to live in Farmington, it was unbelievable. Like if you went up on top of a hill and just looked at the sheer volume of fireworks going off. And I think that if we were to limit it, here's an idea. I just thought about this. Why not have your local neighborhood grocery stores be the only authorized seller of these fireworks?
And this is an unbiased perspective.
As the president of the Minnesota Grocers Association, you could go down to to Aldi, to Kowalski's, to Lunds and Byerly's, and then while you're there, pick up some of these great fireworks. Wouldn't that be and then we'll give some of the money to charity.
I'm not joking. There's a guy, I think they're still set up because I don't live in the area anymore, but the Chaska Cub Foods, every year there was a guy that would set up shop. And again, it's not the stuff you're going to get in Wisconsin, but he had an impressive setup in that parking lot.
Yeah, they have tents set up for the legal stuff, and that's great. I understand for some people.
But you're talking about, let's go here.
I'm talking about the artillery shells. I'm talking about the cakes.
The cakes.
No, you've seen those, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's like, 75 shells. You light it, you back up, you just watch it go boom, boom. Oh, and then that's just so awesome. It's so much fun.
Does Buck Hill allow people up on the hill to watch fireworks during the 4th of July? What a great idea that would be.
I don't know. But I mean, you've got Lakeville and Apple Valley both have really good shows. But putting aside the city municipal run operations, just people launching stuff off in their backyards.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of disposable income in the South Metro, and they put it into fire. It's awesome. I love it.
I remember when we lived in Carver because we were up on top of the hill before you drove down to cross the river. And I remember because we moved in, it was around this time of the year, and my brothers and I were in the backyard, and he had a camper. So we were on top of the camper watching the Chaska fireworks, the Waconia fireworks, Minnetonka had a fireworks show, and then Jordan or Belle Plaine or both had fireworks shows all at the same time. It was so freaking cool.
I'm 53 years old. I get just as excited for fireworks now as I did when I was 10 years old.
Right, exactly.
It's awesome. And I don't listen. I understand that there's going to be some idiots who are going to misuse these things and get hurt. But I think that more now than ever, Minnesotans tend to have I don't want to say they're libertarian, but they have libertarian tendencies. Where it's like, hey, listen, marry who you want. You want to go have a THC beverage, go ahead and drink it. You want to, go ahead and do that. Just you want to legalize go ahead. Like bet on sports. Go ahead. But just do it in a regulated, because right now,
be smart.
Let's be honest. Fireworks are truly illegal in name only in the state of Minnesota right now.
Right.
Given the but oh man, there's so many. You talk about lakes too. That's an awesome place when you start having competing homeowners putting on separate shows. Well, do you remember who used to have a phenomenal fireworks show over a former pro athlete was known for this? I think he used to. He's dead now, so I think it's like Kirby Puckett used to do.
Oh, I did not know that.
Cool. Like he would have a regional sized show. It was, so I don't, again, posthumously respectful to the man,
but that's okay. He liked to play. He liked fireworks. He was what? 38, 40 years old, and he liked fireworks.
Oh, it was just, it's one of those things that no matter how old you get, you don't get sick of it. And the thing is, they keep making those fireworks better.
Yep.
They get more and more. Like you can buy in one artillery shell, you get like the triple shot where it's an egg. For those that don't know, it looks like an egg with a long wick. You put it in the cylinder, you light it. It shoots up into the air, and it'll have like a triple shot where it'll go three in one. Yes. And but in the state of Minnesota, we don't trust our
Why don't we trust our citizens?
Have you met us?
Yeah. And then have you seen who they vote for?
Well, there we go.
It's probably the best case study you can make against it. But no, I think I would like to see us do that.
I mean, think about that. Wisconsin, what is their stereotype reputation? Beer guzzling Packer backers that are just, hold my beer, watch this. And then that's nice Minnesotans with our loafers on and our Swedish and Norwegian heritage, and they think we can't handle it.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. So
let's talk about, speaking of celebration, let's talk about something that's so much fun. And that's
another grade A transition.
What are we celebrating?
You know what takes place on the 4th of July?
What?
My friends at Harmony Spirits and harmonyspirits.net. Pat, remind me, what's your brand of choice? Are you a whiskey guy? Are you a vodka guy? What are you?
No, my thing is I just have like Red Bull and vodka. And so that way it doesn't really matter what the brand or vodka.
I wish Joe was here to hear you say that.
Why is that?
Because I used to say, when I started doing ads for my friends at Harmony Spirits, I used to tell Joe and Rookie that they would make these wonderful handcrafted bourbon barrel aged bottles of whiskey. And I'd say, I'm going to douse this thing with Monster Energy. And like, no, you idiot.
No.
You can't drink it that way.
No, truth be told, I very rarely drink alcohol.
Okay.
So
well, I'm saying it's America and I can do what I want is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But it's really cool. If you haven't been, this is the time of the year, by the way, to go down there. In fact, I think I'm making a trip this week because they have the car show on Saturday the 5th. But swing on in to the Harmony Spirits tasting room down there in beautiful Harmony, Minnesota. They have the slushy machine that's going on right now. But the summer cocktail menu is in full force right now at the tasting room in Harmony, Minnesota. And it's wonderful. They do a wonderful job of mixing in all of their spirits, whether it's rum, gin, vodka, whiskey, my saliva. All of it mixes together with Harmony Spirits.
That's what I mix the bourbon.
But as you're seeing on YouTube right now, they make these really cool pre-mixed cocktails. You're looking at the blackberry lemonade, and all of those are available to purchase at the tasting room, and then you can just take it home and pour it over ice. It's wonderful. And what you can really do to help out our friends at Harmony Spirits is go into your local liquor store and ask for the Harmony brand by name. That is really how they're going to continue to expand their brand, and they appreciate each and every single one of you GLers. So check out their Facebook page for all sorts of summer recipes and also upcoming events, but go on their website as well at harmonyspirits.net and let Larry and Damon and the entire crew at Harmony Spirits know that you heard about them here on the Garage Logic podcast.
Garage Logic on 4th of July week. We're always
festive. Very festive.
Always looking for ray of hopes, fireworks, etc., having a good time, a nice cocktail. Well, if you're looking for another ray of hope, please look no further than Minnesota Freemasons. For a couple of years now on Garage Logic, I've been sharing with you all the great things the Minnesota Freemasons are doing. They do really big things like donating over $6 million annually to support cancer research, aging studies, and children's communications disorders. There's over 8,000 Freemasons throughout Minnesota that are working together to make the world a better place by focusing on the core values of what? Friendship, personal development, and helping those in need. Those are all admirable. Minnesota Masons also give away dozens of scholarships each year to tomorrow's leaders. That's an investment. This year, they'll give out over $900,000 in student scholarships for 2025. To date, Minnesota Masonic Charities has given out over $13 million in total scholarships. Did you hear me? $13 million bucks. This is why we're such a great fan of Minnesota's Freemasons. They're donating their time and talents to foster the next generation of business and civic leaders. They're doing it right. If you'd like to learn more about Freemasonry, their scholarship programs, and maybe upcoming events, you are welcome to visit mnfreemasons.org. That's mnfreemasons.org.
Oh, and this, by the way, this particular segment of the Garage Logic podcast is brought to us by our friends at North American Banking Company. Pat?
Well, we went into that break, we were talking about the distillery that you showcased.
Yeah, Harmony Spirits, yes.
And it's fascinating to see these, whether it's local distilleries, local brewers, the fascinating products they come up with, and how bigger isn't always better. Right. And so sometimes having things localized are much better off. And that's the case with, selfishly grocery stores, right? It's a case with products that are in grocery stores. But we were talking off air a little bit, and I'll bring it up here, is that Minnesota is now rolling out cannabis, right? And this is actual marijuana. And there's so much confusion around this space that I thought we'd take a minute. We can talk about this a little bit. Is that
because what was enacted today, July 1st? What law changed to effective today?
I don't know.
Okay. So you were like me and Rook when Joe's out of town. We check out. You're just off the clock.
So here's the deal: is a couple years ago, Minnesota legalized beverages and some edibles that contain THC derived from hemp. So we're talking about hemp-based THC products. If you compare that is legal under federal law, the Federal Farm Act of 2018. Businesses that produce this stuff, they have full access to the tax code. They can use the banking system, and it's the same level. It's THC impairment it's the same chemical thing that you get from marijuana.
Okay.
So now you pivot over to the other side, and you have cannabis, marijuana, THC derived from that is illegal under federal law. You cannot access the tax code for your deductions. You cannot use the U.S. banking system because it's a scheduled drug that is prohibited. So in Minnesota, we started off with the hemp-based THC stuff, had a very light regulatory touch, and it's boomed. It has totally exploded in Minnesota, where this is why you can go into your local grocery stores and you can buy it. You can go to a gas station and buy it. You don't have to be in a liquor store. You have to be 21 years of age to buy it. But you can get a 5 milligram lemonade, any sort of beverage. It can be 10 milligrams as long as you consider it as 2 doses. But these products have just been taking off in Minnesota because they are federally allowed. They're allowed under state law.
Okay.
And we did it smart. Now, let's pivot over to the cannabis space. where we have totally screwed the pooch. We have just absolutely screwed this up. It's overly, they've already raised the tax on it, even though they haven't.
It hasn't been enacted yet.
Just unbelievable.
Isn't that Minnesota in a nutshell?
So think about this. And again, I am one of the few Republicans who voted in favor of legalizing marijuana. I just thought that when you looked at the current system versus the reformed one, I thought would be better. Reasonable people can disagree on it, but the primary reason why I and many people voted to legalize marijuana was to kill the black market, right? To get rid of the black market. You get rid of the funding mechanism behind it. You have it more structured. You can get taxation, use it for treatment. Well, what happens when you legalize a product and then you slap on these taxes and sale taxes? So now the tax rate in Minneapolis and St. Paul is close to 25%. What happens? Well, congratulations, you just reinforced the black market.
Right, you're not going to buy it.
And so it's very frustrating. So, and again, the people on the street, the average citizen is like, well, wait, what's legal? What's illegal? THC chemically from hemp is exactly the same thing as THC from cannabis. But because the underlying plants, one is legal, one is illegal, it's totally different regulatory regimes that exist in the federal and state level. Minnesota, the hemp-based THC stuff, we've done right. It's why you see Plift, Crooked Beverage, other THC beverage manufacturers in Minnesota. They're being so successful because no one has dominant market share. You have individual products. Well, the cannabis space, it's a mess.
I'll share a quick story with you. And he said this on the air, but I won't mention him by name. But we have a friend that we've done business with over the years. He was an advertiser here, and he was making THC infused beverages at his distillery, at his brewery. And he thought, okay, I was told this is all on the up and up. I could sell it. He was doing great. It was flying off the shelf. He's like, all right, I'm going to basically save my brewery because, COVID killed them. So then they all started making hand sanitizer just to keep their lights on. And all of a sudden somebody from the state said, nope, you have point whatever % too much THC in your beverage. And he thought, I just made... So he had to basically either give it away, which he tried to do, and then that wasn't good enough. So he had to dump out thousands and thousands of dollars worth of product because the state all of a sudden said, "Yeah, we thought that was, but your the legal amount is way too high."
Yeah, it has to be. You can't have more than 5 milligrams in a. But again, you can buy if you were to go to your local grocery store right now and buy. You'll see cans that are 10 milligrams. They just say it's two servings.
Sure.
So that's how they
work around that.
And I think they just changed that now where you can just say there's 10 milligrams as one dose.
But again, it's the absurdity of the fact that we can't even get out of our own freaking way.
Well, and the thing is, like, you want to, and this is so important to an overall umbrella of commerce and economic development in Minnesota, is you need a stable regulatory environment. Right? No one with money is going to invest if they think that you're going to change the rules on them next week.
Right.
And this is a big problem we have in Minnesota right now is that we don't really have a reputation as being a place you want to make investments, that you want to engage in commerce, whether that's, mining in northern Minnesota where they've been in permitting now for 25 years, whether it's something like just building a road where now you've got to do an analysis of carbon offsets and the global warming impact of adding a road or expanding a lane. It's just you want to make it easy to make investments and expand products. In the space, the THC beverage space, hemp-based space, we actually did a pretty good job of that. But the fact that they've raised taxes on cannabis before it's even fully had the dispensaries up and running is just kind of a
Minnesota
preemptive strike.
Yeah, that's a preemptive strike. But I mean, great news for the black market, right? Your local neighborhood weed dealer couldn't be happier. I mean, no surprise they're going to offer their products sales tax free, and at Bobby's Corner joint or whatever. But it is interesting to see like that the beverages. When it comes to liquor in Minnesota, we have a very regulated space about who can sell liquor. Like you can't get wine or beer in your grocery stores.
No.
3.2, but that doesn't really count.
Right.
So
and no one makes 3.2 anymore. Hardly anybody makes 3.2 anymore.
And so like if you're, let's like your local Cub or like, the Kowalski's on Grand Avenue, actually, I don't know if there's a liquor store there, but what they do is they have a grocery store, and then they have to have a separate entrance and a separate building attached for liquor. So there's all these rules around that. Well, now with the THC space, this opens it up that you can have, pretty decent margins, and you have it available for people to purchase it as a matter of convenience, like they do in most other states, by the way. Like when people from other states come here, they do find it kind of amusing that they can't buy a bottle of wine at their local grocery store.
I had a friend that was in town for a wedding just a couple of weeks ago, and he said, we have to go to a separate store to get. I go, yeah, that's kind of how we do things here.
Well, and again, we can talk about the policy behind it, but let's just summarize it for what it is. The people who are making money selling liquor right now don't want more competition.
Well, that, and I know that, was it the tiered system that everyone had a problem with before, because we were one of the few states that had the tiered system where if you wanted to do a brewery, you weren't allowed to also make spirits on site. It had to be a separate existing facility, correct?
Well, so again, these regulatory regimes were set up in the post-prohibition, right? We wanted to avoid organized crime. And so this is where you have this age-old argument. On one side, you have people who say, hey, I've made investments, don't change the rules in the middle of the game.
Right.
On the other side, you have people say, hey, listen, the world is different than it was in the 1930s. You have to modernize your laws. But primarily, the reason why people oppose these changes is because they profit from the status quo. And so they work very hard to oppose any changes. That's why in the THC beverage space, it's something that we did right, where, local stores are able to sell it. You don't have to have a municipal liquor store or something like that, and people can make their own choices. And as consumers become more refined, like people are drinking less beer now. They're drinking more your wines, your spirits, and your THC beverages.
What's just through the grapevine of the people that I've done the beer show with and had relationships over the years, there was such a craze post-COVID. I would say like late 2023, early 2024, where the 0%. Crowd was really clamoring for. In fact, 2/5 of the show showed a market interest in the 0% alcohol beverages, where they still wanted something, but they just didn't want the alcohol involved. And now what you're seeing is, like, just go into any store, and what do you see? The craft beer shelves have shrunk, and now the seltzers are just exploding right now. Yeah. And that probably has a lot to do with the time of the year it is as well. But regardless, the craft beer, because everyone would always ask me doing the beer show, well, when are we going to hit the saturation point? Well, it happened. I mean, it happened, I would say, probably 5-ish years ago, maybe more than that. And all of these breweries that got their feet off the ground, whatever, and they were doing a really good job. But the problem is, well, unless it was your neighborhood that would come in, you weren't really getting a lot of people doing the traveling to your brewery anymore.
Sure.
And unfortunately, that happened, Well,
and I think one of the things that you're seeing happen, at least, and this is a preference that I have for myself, I think it applies to others, is like I like a fragmented market. I don't want 3 product offerings that I have to choose from. So whether it is beer, distilleries, fireworks, all the fun stuff we
whatever
like.
Your vice is.
Yeah, whatever it is. Like I like that we have lots of choices, and whether it's lots of individual stores, lots of individual products. That's much better than having we don't want Walmartization to happen to stores. We don't want it to happen to our product offerings. That's just like my opinion, man.
Yeah. What never goes out of style?
It's just like what?
Snacks. We're talking about nuts.
These nuts?
No, it's We Are Nuts.
Oh.
And wearenutsmn.com. Pat, are you familiar with the family of We Are Nuts?
I am.
I figured you were. If you want right now, by the way, I just received confirmation from Mr. Fratelloni yesterday. Mr. Big Nuts, the proprietor, the owner of the We Are Nuts family, get this. So they put end caps at every single one of the Fratelloni's locations, 22 hardware stores. He went to every single store and took a selfie with the entire staff of that hardware store. That's a guy right there.
That's fun.
And it's cool. And they're rolling out so many cool, great new products right now at We Are Nuts and wearenutsmn.com. It's handmade right here in the great state of Minnesota, Northeast Minneapolis to be more specific. And you can't go wrong. Any snack lover in your life is going to love every single product that they have to offer. Like I've mentioned a number of times, I'm a huge fan of the maple bourbon toffee almonds, but also the cinnamon toasted toffee peanuts are really good. And the hot nuts toffee peanuts, I didn't think I'd like it because I don't really, ketchup's a little spicy for me. They're really good. But if you mix it with the regular toffee caramelized almonds or peanut, excuse me. It's a really good sweet and heat
We got
mix.
something for everybody.
It's so good. Anyway, but go into any one of your
Is that
Fred
factory
Maloney's.
open to the public or no?
Not yet, but news on that is coming very, very soon.
okay.
The original location that's just over here off of University,
Vandalia?
that is still open right now. But yeah,
okay.
they will be rolling out that location in the very, very near future. And we're really excited about this partnership with We Are Nuts and WeAreNutsMN.com. But like I said, if you're out of the state, you can place your order at the website. And please let them know that you heard about them here on the Garage Logic podcast.
GLers, I hope you all are having a fantastic 4th of July week celebrating our nation's birthday. Now, don't forget, we've got this big Garage Logic celebration of cylinders coming up next weekend at Cedar Lake Speedway, just over the border in Wisconsin. All of you are invited to this free party. We're kicking off early in the afternoon, Saturday, July 12th at Cedar Lake Speedway with a very British car show. We have a bevy of the finest British automobiles lined up for your perusal and approval, including our very own fireworks commissioner and one of his British rides. Get there before the gates open to the general public at 5 p.m. so you're already in and secure, and then stick around for a few hours. Enjoy the raucous good times that is dirt track racing. The racing runs from 6 to 10 p.m., features some of the fastest racers in the Midwest. Now, this ain't Cooter and the Duke brothers. Put that out of your mind. We're talking professional race teams running high-dollar equipment around a finely prepped high-bank clay oval. And Cedar Lake Speedway, my opinion, one of the best facilities in the country. Town council members, we're going to have our own special area in the tailgate section. The whole gang will be there, and we would love to see you. Did I say it's free? It's free. A $25 value. We're going to spool it up and let her rip next weekend, July 12th, at the world-renowned Cedar Lake Speedway. You'll find more information at GarageLogic.com and track information at CedarLakeSpeedway.com.
Here's a guy that's sponsoring the team colors. Not Joe Souchere. I got to tell you, when you
Here's
walked
a guy
in,
that's drinking from his parade, Minneapolis parade, water bottle.
What do you?
Your Pride parade. You got the Pride water bottle, I think.
No, I don't. I just have a nice water bottle that.
Speaking of that,
think it's all
I know
facts.
this is not what you wanted to get to, but did you guys see someone had highlighted Jacob Fry's wardrobe changes throughout the day on Saturday? Because he went to the Pride parade, which a lot of dignitaries did, including Governor Walz. So he had one outfit on. And then he went to the Somali gathering in downtown Minneapolis.
He didn't change.
100%
Was he
different
Joseph's
outfit.
Technicolor
No,
dream coat?
I would hope he did.
Because I don't know if you know this, Rick, but the Somalis aren't a big fan of that culture. But he, and then there was another function. He had 3 different outfits on in the
Good
span
for
of
him.
about 8
He's like
hours.
Beyonce.
Good. That's what I would have done.
Hey, that boy's running for office, man. It's re-election season.
No, I mean, and hey,
I don't. The last thing in the world Jacob Fry needs is me praising him. But like,
have you seen who he's running against?
Oh,
In
we
Minneapolis?
desperately need him to get reelected.
Oh my God, yes. Like, listen, we do not need what happened in New York City's election to happen in Minneapolis.
Okay, I'm glad you brought this up. I know you didn't want to go there. This is getting close to shut it down territory for New York, correct?
well, I mean, the guy did say the goal is to seize the means of production.
Like, I mean, that's like,
There you go.
And you're like, oh, you're summarizing his words. No, he said
said this.
You guys, I'm not kidding. In my last year in the legislature, we did the Democrats, some Democrats and friends of mine, we did a joke amendment on the floor where I was like, listen, you Democrats, you're so out of control. We're going to abolish this entire bill and just replace it with the Commissioner of Revenue will seize the means of production. That's going to be your guys' bill. And there was like this joke we did on the House floor where we claimed there was a fake. We had fun with it. Okay, that joke is now the policy position of the leading candidate for the mayor of New York City. This is yeah.
Margaret Thatcher, socialism is great till you run out of some other people's money.
That's right.
But
absolutely.
if Fateh gets the Democratic nomination in Minneapolis, I mean,
Well, he's not going to get the Democratic. Remember, the endorsement doesn't quite mean as much as it does on a statewide basis.
because Fry's an incumbent, is that why?
Well, multiple reasons. It's just a city election. It's not statewide.
Got it.
The state party's not going to. In fact, I don't even think that, if I remember right, I don't think the DFL is doing an endorsement for mayor. I don't think they are. But, hey, fact check to the Garage Logic audience there. Are they doing a...
Oh, they'll come back to you. No worries.
All right, let us know. But I think, no, he's the adult choice, right? And Minneapolis has got some good stuff going on. But boy, oh boy, if you want to replicate what's happened in St. Paul in a concentrated fashion in Minneapolis, good luck with that.
But it will have the ripple effect of the entire state.
It does. You can't. I mean, I understand there's some people. It's kind of a cottage industry to beat up on Minneapolis and St. Paul, but these are really important economic centers to our whole state, and how they're run and how they're doing are important to the economic health of our entire state.
What type of interactions have you had with Omar Fateh?
I mean, like, I've met him socially. My thing was that when the Democrats had the total trifecta, and they had a 1-seat majority in the Senate, he literally he's the only one who figured out that he could just take hostages and get what he wanted.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's what he did. He absolutely did it. Yeah. And it was like, okay, I think that right now we are at a very precarious time in our state in terms of, this is a bad time to have a government-centric economy, and it's going to be a worse time to be a government-centric economy. Without being all doom and gloom, you've got a federal budget deficit that's out of control. It's only getting worse.
Big beautiful bill. Did that pass? I didn't even
it passed the Senate 51-50. They had to have they needed Vance to come in and break the tie.
Wow.
Yeah, and again, there's thousands of decisions that are being made in that, whether it's good or bad is a matter of opinion. But the deficit's going to go up, and that's just like the exact opposite of what we need right now. But we'll see what happens. I don't know. Sure. I did want to share with you guys, though, that, so there was a fact check we wanted our audience to do.
Oh, you had this is a Minnesota folklore story I had never heard of before.
So this is a story I heard a lot when I was a kid. We need your listeners here to tell us if this is true or not. The story goes something like this, that there's a toy poodle out on the end of a dock. Water levels are a little bit high. The toy poodle's looking over the edge of the dock, and a muskie jumps up and grabs the thing off the deck and pulls it in and does the whole Friday the 13th thing, Jason from Friday the 13th. We need to find, is that a true story, or is that just like urban folklore?
See, and I had never heard it before, so this is news to me.
You've lived in Minnesota your whole life?
Every minute of the day.
Okay,
yep.
I've never heard of this before and see, but nothing's popping up right away.
And trust me, this melon up here is full of a lot of useless knowledge, Pat Garofalo, and I don't think I've ever heard that story before.
No, so we just need someone to tell us if it's true or not.
But the reason this came up is a young lady grew up in St. Paul, now lives in St. Peter. She landed a 53-inch muskie in Lake Minnetonka. Greta Wykes says she's an avid angler, but this was her first targeting the elusive lake lunker. My kids went to school with her because she went to St. Paul schools, Nativity, and but it's a huge fish, and that led Pat to say, what about the toy? I've heard of that, but I can't verify that right now.
All right, let me go to the Google.
So I'll tell you guys a quick story. So wife and I recently went on our European tour. Went on a cruise ship.
Where'd you go?
It was like the Mediterranean.
Oh, okay.
So we started out in Venice for a couple days, which is cool. A very cool city. And then you get on the cruise ship and you hop around to Croatia, Montenegro, Greece. And then
that's what I did last year.
Yeah.
Slovenia, Croatia, Montenegro. Adriatic Sea is the best ever. By the way, we're going 2026, escapewithusvacations.com. Sign up now.
So one interesting thing. So we dock in Greece. And, it's a cruise ship, right?
Yep.
And I'm getting off and I look and there is a yacht at the cruise ship dock. And this thing is, it's
massive.
Like, we've all seen big yachts. This is like literally, is that a cruise ship or is that a yacht?
So someone big was in town.
So I look at it and I walk by it and it's got a name on the back of it. And the name of this thing, it was named Launchpad. And I'm like, I bet you that's somebody we know. Like, that is a big enough of a yacht that thing is huge.
Did you go to the website to check out?
I did.
Okay, good, smart.
I did. Because there was a team of people who were just cleaning it. There's no one on board just cleaning it. You know whose it was? Mark Zuckerberg's.
No way.
Really?
Yep. No,
Launchpad.
I have no idea. I don't think he was there. I thought maybe that they were queuing it up to go over to Venice for Bezos's wedding.
Oh, sure.
And that maybe he was going to be there, but I didn't know that. But you guys, I've seen big yachts. That thing was huge. Oh my God, did that look cool? And I just kept thinking, like, gosh, why am I not friends with this guy? Gosh,
hey, Zuck, how you doing?
And if I can't be friends with them, I've just changed my position. I do think that a person can have too much money. I do think we have a limitation on that. You guys, it was so awesome. It was just.
Did it have a helicopter pad on top to land?
I didn't see it from the top, but I don't think it did.
Okay.
So there was no wasted space with a helicopter pad. I've seen those before, but it was just this beautiful, beautiful yacht. And it was just you can look online. You can look up. They have there's a yacht tracker.
Yes, yes.
You can track these. I'm sure these guys really appreciate that.
Well, isn't that what caused what's his name? That wasn't the kid that got sued. Wasn't he tracking Taylor Swift and her yacht? Or am I confusing two different stories?
It was I heard of Elon Musk's plane.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
There was a guy who was doing that. He was tracking.
Okay.
But can you just imagine these guys? I'm sure they really appreciate the fact that anyone can punch that up on the internet and find out, what body of water they are down to the square meter.
Right.
I'm sure it's got some sort of like EM50 urban assault vehicle defense mechanism on it.
The shield, the force field, the Star Trek force field.
But you guys, it was, if you get a chance, just Google yacht launchpad and look at the photos. It was like.
How close were you to it? I mean,
50 feet.
Wow.
Walk right up.
We walked right by. I told my wife, I said, because the gangway was down. I'm like, I should just walk on like I belong there. And what are they going to do?
How did I get on this boat?
Let's just walk on and be like, no, Mark said I was supposed to come in and say hi. What do you mean?
We're working on a Grocer deal.
We're talking. Listen, we're tight. We're tight.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, that's what I need to do is bail you out of a Grecian jail because you walk onto Mark Zuckerberg's yacht. But gosh, it was beautiful. I can't even. It's so big, I can't imagine what it.
That was a different observation than you made on your trip on your yacht that you guys parked next to.
We were on the Adriatic Sea, and I forget what celebrity it was. It was a rock and roll guy, and he had obviously rented it out. And somebody looked it up, and we crunched the numbers, saying, "Wow, if we all split it, we could all rent out that yacht for a week." We couldn't. They were all hammered, and we're like, rah, rah, rah. But on this boat.
How was that? That was.
Yeah, I know. That's what I sounded like, too. But on this boat, there was a senior citizen that was escorted up to the back of the boat and the top level. And then the young lady that was with him, so to speak.
She was there for companionship purposes.
And just out in the night sky, those two sat and had a intimate moment as everybody on our yacht sat and watched that.
Was it a young woman and an older man?
He had to be helped up the stairs to get there.
The things a woman will do for love.
But he remembered what to do when the time was right. I think he was looking for the XL Energy Center. I don't know if he found it. He said he was looking for the X, but he was confused. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's
Lord.
crazy.
All right. Closing moments. We've been waiting to hear from you because I had reached out to you on the tragic news of your friend Melissa Hortman, and I was just curious if you had any thoughts that you'd like to share with the Garage Logic audience.
Yeah. Well, first, thanks for I know you guys wanted to have me on before, and I just was not in the spot to.
And we get it.
Yeah. So just
again, and by the way, Pat, I'm going to say this again. You're one of us. Like you're totally good. You never have to apologize. We completely understood your viewpoint.
And I just there's a lot a lot of press. There's been a lot of the ceremony and some the things that's necessarily for the grieving process. I just want to remind people that. Beyond being my friend, Melissa Hortman was just a really good person.
Yeah.
And it's just, we all have people in our life who we disagree with politically, but we see the other positive attributes in them.
For sure.
And Melissa was one of those people. And I think the best thing that I can say about her is there are 25 awesome stories I can tell you about Melissa Hortman, and none of them can I share on the air. She was an authentic, really, really good person.
Well, I know that yesterday when Tom Hauser was in here and the exchange between Garage Logic and Monday Night Sports Talk, he and Patrick had a little bit of a back and forth. And from what Tom shared, it's like she was a great character. She was just a great person to be around.
Yeah, she literally, and I mean this in I mean this in a completely positive way. she would give 0 Fs if it was important to her.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, in a time where people are coached and programmed or inauthentic, but it's putting aside the politics of it, right? She genuinely cares about other people. Like, her legislative superpower was that she cared about other people, sincerely, not just in like talking points modes. She always treated staff with respect. She treated them as like the nonpartisan staff as a precious resource at the House of Representatives. She treated people well, even when there were conflicts. She was always the kind of person that when the fight was done and the cameras were off, you could kind of reset to a real place. And this. I'm not a proponent of the death penalty, but I'm really hoping the Trump administration gives this guy the chair. This guy has no redeeming qualities for being alive. And part of it, I think, for a lot of us is that like I've never had a friend murdered before.
Yeah.
Like I've never had that happen. And so I think for a lot of us, as we'll go on and life will be fine. But it's I hope this never happens again. And I'd like to think that maybe going forward, everyone of all stripes can just have, if everyone just had a little bit more of Melissa Hortman's mindset in them, that Minnesota would be a much better place.
Well, and the fact of the circumstances involved, and the fact that you pose as someone that's there to run for safety purposes and things like that, it's like, I don't know how your mind can even get to a place like that to create such a heinous act.
Yeah, and I mean, we're a more coarse society than we used to be.
Sure.
And verbal and physical threats for elected officials are way more common than they should be. And we're in a public space. But the manner in which all 4 legislators that have been released, the names have been released so far, were targeted was shocking. And I know there's going to be a reaction to like, well, do we insulate legislators? Do we try to hide them or protect them? But there's a dark reality of the world we all live in, and that is that if someone wants to attack you, with the exception of being the president of the United States, if someone really wants to do that, they're going to do it.
Well, and someone almost did with him.
Yeah, that was him. Yeah, and so you have this the shocking manner in which this guy he didn't want to kill one person. He wanted to have this shock and awe event, and just thank goodness the police were responding as quickly as they could, because there would have been a lot more. And and so the focus, I appreciate you giving me a couple minutes to talk about this, is that as I know we've had the funeral and we move on and stuff, but I want everyone to know that Melissa Hortman was just a really good person, and I can't help but think for her family, her kids and stuff that's coming up, what a tremendous loss this is. But for me, I lost a friend, but I think the state of Minnesota lost a really good legislator.
Well said, Pat.
Yep.
Hey, thanks for coming in, man. We really appreciate it.
Yep, good seeing you guys.
You're always a friend of GL, so thanks for coming in, man. Even with your self-driving car, which we'll be sure to make Joe...
brand new.
Yeah.
Brand new.
We'll be sure to make Joe privy of that information coming Monday. But thanks, my man. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Garage Logic Podcast. Please do us a favor if you haven't done so already, and hit that subscribe button on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. On that YouTube channel, you can watch the show each and every single day. And you can also see full segments. There's video shorts, there's behind the scenes footage, but it's all there for you. Just search Garage Logic on YouTube and follow us along on all of our social media channels, which includes Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And also, what am I forgetting? Oh, sign up for the Daily Logician. That email comes right to your inbox each and every single day, and it includes the most recent episode of the podcast. Sign up right now and find out more at garagelogic.com. It is time once again that we check in with our guy, Mr. Money Talk. Josh Arnold is with us once again right here in Garage Logic, and now is the time for you to do the same. So do not delay. Do exactly what I did and pick up that phone and dial 952-925-5608. That number once again is 952-925-5608. When you call that number, you're going to get Josh, and he is there for you for that free, yes, I use the word free, 48-minute 15-minute financial consultation with absolutely zero obligation. And he will always give you the straight talk. He will never give you the sugar-coated advice. And he is on the line with us once again right here in Garage Logic. And Josh, I know you've got a lot to get to today because it's the last day of the quarter. Canada has rescinded their digital service tax. And do you think the Senate's going to pass the big bill today?
I'm not sure that the Senate is going to pass the big, beautiful bill because there's plenty of consternation about different parts of the bill, including, it just benefits the rich. And the part of the bill that I am pushing for is the extension of the 2017 Tax Act, or to make a lot of that 2017 Tax Act permanent, particularly relating to business taxes being at a very low level, which helps businesses compete worldwide basis. Plus, it helps the development of newer businesses. The fact that some complain that the rich never pay their fair share, and the question always comes up, Chris, what is a fair share? Very few people that I've talked to come up with a percent or a dollar amount. The lower the rate, as has been proven time and time and again, the lower the tax rate, and particularly the lower the rate on capital gains, the more taxes that are raised, because more people will continue to free up capital. And if you have more money on an after-tax basis, that money can be saved or invested or spent. And that will continue to propel the economy. I am of the belief that you and I know a little bit more what we want to do with our money rather than the government telling us what they want to do with the money. Just one of those things. There are some issues with this big, beautiful bill that many are bitching about, including cuts to Medicaid. Well, from my reading of cuts to Medicaid, it has to do with a work requirement that you need to be working at least 20 hours a week to qualify for Medicaid. And there are a lot of people who aren't meeting that requirement who are able-bodied. A number of other people who are being pushed off Medicaid are illegal aliens. And again, the question comes in, well, why are illegals being offered these benefits? That's a question that I'm going to leave for another time. But I think with all those issues and some others, and the Democrats are all voting no on this bill, the Republicans are going to have to push it through on their own votes, and there are still numerous Republican holdouts as they believe that some of the spending around this bill is a little bit too big. We'll see what happens. If this bill does not pass before this year is out, that could mean across the board a very substantial tax increase, not only for the rich, but for the not-so-rich as well. Meantime, the market has taken a nice jump this morning after some concerns just after the close on Friday that President Trump was going to increase tariffs and walk away from any trade negotiations with Canada because of their digital services tax, which, of course, hits major U.S. technology companies, whether it be Apple, Amazon, Google, NVIDIA, Microsoft, or Amazon, and others. This is very similar to the Digital Marketing Act and Digital Services Tax that goes on in Europe. Well, Canada, I think, was trying to pressure trade negotiators to get a better deal, but on Monday morning they rescinded this digital services tax, which is a positive thing for all of the U.S. technology companies and others, and they're back at the table negotiating a trade or tariff deal. The market liked that a lot. This is also today the last day of the quarter and the end of the first half of the year. We are close to, at this point, some records on both NASDAQ and the S&P. And who would have thunk that in April with the imposition of the tariffs? The market has rebounded significantly on the backs of better than expected earnings news, lower than expected inflation, lower energy prices, and the potential for more trade deals coming through, plus the potential of the extension of the Tax Act. Do be prepared for, a little sell the news reaction and a little pullback in the market prior to second quarter earnings being released starting the middle of July. Also, there has been some hints from the Fed that many members of the Fed are considering cutting interest rates or starting to cut interest rates in July, at least a quarter of a point, as inflation is not as big as some may have believed could happen this year. So we've had a very, very interesting first half of the year. Some leaders in the first half include companies like NVIDIA, Palantir, Netflix, Meta, and Microsoft, among others. And then there's a few companies that you really would not have thought about, like Oracle has had a big run as they've extended some contracts in the cloud. Waste Management has continued to be an outperformer. Who would have thought of Waste Management being an outperformer? One little company that has bounced way back from a big sell-off in April, but is still and is only a little higher than the start of the year, has been Acushnet Holdings, a nice leisure company. You'd know Acushnet Holdings under the market symbol of Golf, GOLF. They are manufacturers of Titleist and FootJoy. Yes, golf is a lot bigger than many people would have thought, and there'll probably be plenty of people out golfing this weekend.
Excellent advice, as always, Mr. Money Talk. You heard him, GLers. Now is the time for you to pick up the phone and make the call for that free 48-minute financial consultation with absolutely zero obligation. And you do that just like I did by dialing 952-925-5608, where you always get straight talk and never, ever sugar-coated advice. Josh, once again, thank you so much for the time and the chat. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Chris.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorsement.